Max grew up on late-night warnings.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Scared, straight.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
And were inspired by movies that defined a generation.
We were all pretty bizarre. Some of us are just better at hiding it, that's all.
Hey, Doc, we better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Well, we're going, we don't need roads.
I feel the need for speed.
We found our attitude in comedy.
I'm Gumby, damn it!
You see that sign?
No shirt, no shoes,
No dice!
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
And our identity in pop culture.
I want my MTV!
I want my MTV.
I want my MTV!
What you talking about, Willis?
Keep your feet in the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
This is Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhide.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Episode number 13. Welcome in, everyone. Bill Rowland here, Gary Dollarhide there. Welcome. Glad you all are joining us here a week before the holidays. In fact, as we record this, we are exactly 1 week away from Christmas. Have you finished your shopping, Mr. Dollarhide?
I am generally finished.
Okay.
We have one or two items. The core is done.
Okay.
But there's always well, should we get this little extra? Should we get that little extra for the kids, etc.? So we're still trying to contemplate that through. We may find things, we may not find things. I think we've hit the shipping deadline, so we can't get it shipped in at this point. I don't think.
I ordered. Yeah, I ordered some stuff yesterday, and it said that it would arrive on the 24th. So that was yesterday. So yeah, you might be pushing the limit depending on where you're ordering it from and who they're, who your delivery people is, because I know it takes an extra 24 to 48 hours to get there up to Central Maine.
Right, the sled dogs run on a weird schedule.
You have to put it on the back of the moose and let them walk up the path there to get to your place. So,
are you done? I mean,
I'm not.
You ordered yesterday.
I am not done. I mean, I have to buy for nearly everybody. The only people that I am done with. Yeah, sir. I always do this though. Every year I'm like, I have an idea, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I'm like, I'll do it this weekend. Like, I'm just like, I'm not going to go to the mall, but I'll figure out something. I got my
in-laws. Are there still malls in Northern Virginia?
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're still standing. Yeah.
Okay.
I got stuff. My in-law stuff is done, but that's it. I know what I'm going to get Carrie. I have a general idea, I think, of what I'm going to get her daughter. I still have to buy for like my sister and her husband and the niece and nephew. But I think the thing is, I have the general idea of everything. I just haven't actually gone to do it. So that's the problem, is I'm procrastinating. I shouldn't, but it is what it is.
I remember distant relatives, my mother's cousins in Tennessee, and one segment of the family, their thing was Christmas Eve. They spent the day, that was their thing. You went shopping Christmas Eve day. Now this is obviously back before Amazon and everything else, but that was how you spent Christmas Eve. You did all your shopping for the immediate family, etc. that day. And I always sort of boggled my mind, like, if you didn't already have ideas, you just go wander the stores and hope something comes up. Yeah. And is that how you end up with the odd things that you really didn't want, but someone said, hey, I thought that was going to be for you and thought you would like that?
I mean, I respect it. I'm not one of these people. I mean, I know people that are like, oh, I picked this up. I got that all the way back in September and held it all the way to Christmas. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, we get to December and I'll be like, I should probably come up with something. And then I get like mid-December and I'm like, I'm kind of running out of time. So now I'm a week out. And so I go, I should probably go ahead and purchase these things. So I respect it. I like the idea that you wait. Here's the other thing. Depending on who you're buying for, you buy something in September. What if they're not around in December? I'm not trying. I mean, it happens.
Save your receipt?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to. But if you're past the 90 days, then what? You can't return it.
So technically we should be buying until the 1st of October.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make sure you can send it back, yeah. I mean, it's like the grandma got run over by a reindeer song. They had the debate: do we open up the gifts or send them back?
Yeah, right.
Just saying.
I don't know.
Just saying. No,
yeah, everyone has the quirkiness about their shopping. I have always stressed about it, hated it, because I would have ideas, but I would have those ideas back in January, February, March,
right,
and then I'd forget about it,
and then forget
about it too late. And then all of a sudden I feel pressed at the end going, I just got to get stuff. So,
yeah, I don't ever worry
I would
about.
say for me and much of us, we didn't buy anything. We said, forget it. We'll just go to dinner. We'll do some other things, but we're not buying actual gifts this year.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a pretty good way to do things. I think that's good. So, yeah.
Well, we said we're at that age. We can get what we want unless there was something outstanding that we came across, what?
Yeah.
What would be the point of just more stuff?
I think that's honestly, I think one of the things that I'm going to do is I think try to plan a vacation for next June when Carrie's done with school for the year. When the county's done, she's like, okay, here, we're going to go here, wherever it may be. So, I mean, I'm not telling her that's what she's getting for Christmas. She's been like kind of looking at flights and everything with me. And I'm like, well, where do you want to go? And we'll figure it out. So that may be like Christmas. I just may print out the tickets, but there you go. Merry Christmas. I don't have to have that done till the 24th. I just need to
tell her not to watch this episode then.
Well, I mean, she doesn't. She doesn't watch any of them anyway.
Oh,
so
my
doesn't
goodness.
matter. Oh no, she is not participating in this at all whatsoever. So I even asked her, and we'll get to our lead topic that we had. I even asked her about, like, we're talking about concerts here. We wanted to start with that because you went to see Heart and Starship. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, they're
Last
just now
week.
Starship.
Oh, right. Well, that's what I said. Heart and Starship. Yeah, they're not the airplane anymore. They gave up the airplane moniker in the 70s, and they dropped the Jefferson, I think, in the 80s, and just became Starship.
Starship, right?
That
was for everyone else, not you.
Was it in Bangor? Where was it? Portland?
It was in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh,
Southern New Hampshire University Arena, which is kind of it's a big concert venue over there. They land a lot of shows there, and I will have to say, as always, fantastic show.
Okay,
I mean, let's settle it first. The opener was Starship with Mickey Thomas, one of the original, probably the last original member. So everyone else is our age and younger.
He's the original Starship member. He's not an original Jefferson Airplane member.
Airplane member, correct.
Right. Okay.
You're right. This is what we go through with all these legal battles. You see it with other bands, so and so with right. It's just who owns what. Anyway, he's 70 some years old, and while you can still hear him and understand that that's who's saying.
Oh, you went. You left us for a moment.
He said,
"You got to go back." You froze up for a second. Go back and start your Mickey thing that you said you could understand him, and then you froze.
So yeah, you hear him and go, "Oh, that sounds like Starship," but it's also not the quality of Starship from 30, 40 years ago.
Sure,
he is still a 76-year-old man hanging on, still doing his craft, and that's fine. Just not vocal perfection at all anymore, but he can still move around stage and sing. So it was well. Heart, on the other hand, fantastic.
Okay, now, and that's Ann and Nancy Wilson still.
Correct.
Okay.
It's just those two. Obviously, the rest of the band are all Johnny Come Latelys, but that's not the focal point, right? It's those two.
Sure.
So Nancy, I've seen videos of her in recent years, and it kind of made her look bad. Obviously, she's had some health concerns. I know she had cancer surgery last year. They put the tour on hold. She sat for this entire concert, which is fine.
Okay.
But she still has the lungs. And when you sit there, you go, that is Heart. I mean, quality voice. Maybe she doesn't have like what I'd consider the holding power. Like she would hit a note, she would hit it. maybe can't hold it as long as she used to. But her
she's
voice
71.
quality is still. She's 71 or 70. I thought.
I'm looking here.
I thought she was mid 70s.
Nancy Wilson. It says 71.
Oh, okay. So wait, hold on.
Are you thinking of
Nancy's
Ann?
the blonde? Ann's
Yes.
the singer. Okay, got me all confused. Ann's older. She's the older sister.
Yeah, by 4 years. Ann Wilson's 75.
Yeah. So, but she still has the voice talent. I mean, it is beautiful. Certain things you can tell if there's a backing track. I didn't hear it, couldn't tell. She can still hit what she's supposed to.
Okay.
And so the music was phenomenal. Now, Nancy, guitar player, it was funny because, she's just not standing there strumming a guitar. She is doing her thing. And I stopped for a minute and said, that's someone's grandmother. And she's rocking out here right now. Yeah. And probably in another week or so, when they take a break, probably for Christmas she's going to go home and bake cookies with a grandkid somewhere.
Yeah.
And that grandkid probably does not understand that, hey, grandma's a rocker. So,
yeah, maybe.
But
I had no idea. I'm just reading this. Sorry to jump in. I had no clue, and maybe this is just a blind spot for me, that Nancy was married to Cameron Crowe.
Yes.
For like 24 years.
Had a kid.
I had no idea. No idea that's who she was married to. None.
So,
okay.
But so overall, Heart was amazing. I mean, if you consider that the two front people are in their 70s and what their catalog goes back to, actually the 1970s, it was a phenomenal show. I mean, there was no like, wow, they're just kind of holding it together and touring. It was absolutely fantastic. So, and I enjoy that because, for our age and some of the groups we follow, if you go to see them now, it's always, you love the nostalgia, but you're always a little bit of like, oh man, that's just not what it was. They were dead on, and kudos to them for still being able to do what they do because, some of their songs, they're
not
they're
easy
hard songs. They're not just ballads up there being sung. So yeah. So it was absolutely a fantastic show.
So do you remember then, in the vein of this, in the vein of Gen X, what your first concert was?
I do.
Okay. What was the
Huey Lewis in the News on the 4 tour?
Nice. Okay.
So I think that was.
I saw that same tour. You probably saw him at the Richmond Coliseum.
At the Richmond Coliseum.
Yeah.
The super spaceship, if anyone's familiar with the Richmond Coliseum.
It's falling apart now. Actually, I think it's gone.
Is it gone?
I think so.
Classic. We spent so much time there. So.
I know.
But yeah, Huey Lewis in the News, the 4 tour was the first concert I went to because my parents weren't music people, so they never went.
Okay.
So I was working at a little grocery store by the house, and one of the owner's sons, he was probably 20 at the time. He's like, hey, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. So
nice.
him, and his girlfriend went to see him.
Nice, because that was 1986, so we wouldn't have been able to drive yet. Yep. So that makes sense that you had to have somebody take you to the Richmond Coliseum because you guys didn't have like a metro or anything like up here in Northern Virginia, where if you were young and your parents would have let you, you could have jumped on the metro and taken it in, but wouldn't have been. Well, actually, you wouldn't have been able to do that because there was no metro stop over at the Cap Center, which is where the tour would have been, because obviously the downtown arena wasn't around yet. But nice. I saw that same tour.
Yep.
I don't remember if I saw it at the Cap Center or if I saw it when they were maybe over at like Merriweather Post.
Well, I was going to ask you, without the downtown arena, it would have been the Cap Center, Patriot Center, or Merriweather Post.
In 86, I guess it could have been the Patriot Center in 86, but I'll be honest, I don't remember seeing concerts at the Patriot Center at all when I was growing up. I mean, we just all the main acts went to the Cap Center. So like I saw Billy Joel a couple times over at the Cap Center. Janet Jackson, that was over at the Cap Center. Let's see. A lot of stuff was at Merriweather Post. Like Jimmy Buffett every summer was at Merriweather Post. Obviously, he wasn't playing the Patriot Center for a summer concert. So yeah, that's where we usually ended up. But that's a pretty good first one. It definitely beats what mine was.
Well,
I was like 5 or 6, and my mom and sister and a friend of my dad's that he went to school with. She was a woman. We called her our aunt, and a couple of her daughters. So there's like 5 or 6 women and me went to see the Osmonds at the Cap Center.
Whoa.
When I was like 5 or 6. That was my first ever, I guess you could say, real concert, was seeing the Osmonds. It was, I don't remember
wholesome
much
family entertainment.
Exactly.
At its best.
Exactly. And I'm sure the older daughters of my dad's friend were probably all into one of them, Donnie, or I don't know the other, Merle.
Probably Donnie.
I'm sure it was Donnie, because that was the height of the Donnie and Marie show. But there were other Osmonds. I don't remember all their names. That wasn't
Wasn't there a Ken Osmond? No, the Ken Osmond was Leave It to Beaver. So I can't remember the other.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think there was a Merle.
Okay.
From what I don't know. But I just remember, and still to this day, I don't remember much about the concert, but like most of the Donnie and Marie show, if you grew up and you watched it or remembered it all, a lot of costume changes, which is easy to do on television because it's not live. So you just cut and then you come back in a different costume. Well, when they're doing the show, you have to have like a place to go and change. And I just remember we were kind of back to the side and behind the stage a little bit. Okay. And you could see, like, you couldn't see into the area where she was changing. But while the rest of the guys like ran down underneath the stage and would change and then come back up, Marie just had one little, I think about it now, probably 4x4, if that area, where she jumped in back behind the stage and then jumped back out into this new costume. Like, she had this tiny little area. And I just remember even back then being like, they didn't give her any, like, she has no room. Like, I just remember even being at like 5 or 6 years old being like, that's not a lot of space to change in. Like, that's a very tiny area. So that's what I remember from that was the first concert. I guess the first real concert I went to probably would have been Hall and Oates, I think in 84 for the Big Bam Boom tour.
Ooh.
So yeah, went actually, funny enough, went with one of the daughters that I went to the Osmond show with years later, called and just said, because my parents weren't going to take me, they were like yours. I mean, my dad liked music and that's why I know way too much about late 50s doo-wop and everything from listening to what his stuff was. And my mom did too, but you're not going to go to a concert with your mom. That's not cool. You're not going to do that. So I remember calling up again. Susie was the woman's name. And I was like, hey, do you want to go see Hall and Oates? Like, if you drive, I'll buy the tickets. That's how, and she's like, yeah, I'll take you. That'd be great. So I was like, awesome. So I went with this older woman, if you want to, she's probably in her 20s. I was 13. And that was the first concert that I ever went to, was Hall and Oates, like a real actual concert. Was Hall and Oates. And then we did Huey Lewis and all that, the same year, when they were on their sport tour or whatever.
I can tell you my jealousy level is high right now because of all the shows, right?
Yep.
I've been radio, done tons of music.
Well,
Hall and Oates was on my list.
Yeah.
Hall and Oates was on my list, and I have never seen them. And of course,
really?
Now you're not going to.
No, because they hate each other.
They do. They still tour separately, but it wouldn't be the same to go see them now. So,
I probably saw them.
So
I saw
very
them
jealous on that one.
Okay, I saw them on the Big Bam Boom tour, and then I saw them. They used to go to Wolf Trap every year, and I saw them. I've probably seen them 4 or 5 times. So yeah, I've seen. Yeah, their show was great. They always do a good job. I've seen Billy Joel a number of times. I even went up when he was doing his residency at Madison Square Garden. I went up there for one of those shows, which was a lot of fun. That was a good show. Yeah, but Buffett's the one that I saw more than anybody else. I'm probably close to 30 total shows on that. Saw him in Philly, saw him in Pittsburgh, saw him down in Williamsburg, or what's the venue down there, like Williamsburg, Norfolk area, the outdoor.
Well, I was going to say, when I saw Jimmy Buffett, he was at William and Mary Stadium. And
maybe that's where it was.
88, 89.
Because I believe that was the Off to See the Lizard tour or the Hot Water tour. It's one of the two. I don't remember.
Can't remember. But so here's the odd day in my past. For whatever reason, they sent the radio station I worked for, because my senior year of high school, sent me to Jimmy Buffett down in Williamsburg just to park the van, and we had tickets.
Right.
And then I had to leave Jimmy Buffett to come back to Richmond to see, I'm pretty sure it was Metallica and the Cult at the Richmond Coliseum that evening.
Wow.
So what a day.
Yeah,
right?
that's
expansive musical genres there. So that was my day.
And you've probably seen all the biggest country acts, because when you were working for, what was it, WCXR?
MZQ in Washington, D.C.
That's right. That's right. No, CXR was a classic rock station. But yeah, when you were with MZQ, you probably saw all the big ones, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if there was a country show, we were involved, because there was a smaller country station, but we were it. And technically, by audience, we were one of the largest country stations in America. So it's kind of, we got the red carpet if and when artists came into town. So yeah.
Who's the best concert that you've seen that you look back and go, that one was the hit. That was the one.
Do you have one? Maybe you don't right now with them. Well, just off the top of my head, that's okay. If I had to right now, was Garth Brooks. He did 6 or 7 nights at the Cap Center. He's just phenomenal entertainer at that time. And
was this before
put on a show?
Was this before or after he was a serial killer? You've seen that whole thing,
correct.
haven't you?
Right. Way before. So this was kind of at the peak Garth Brooks.
Right.
Geez, this would have been
it's gotta be
95, 96.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if you were
96.
NZQ would have been after that. Yeah.
Just phenomenal. I got to meet him, and little side note, there was a problem between what was said between his management and us, and it all got worked out. He apologized to me because I was the promotion marketing director. It was a good time. It was a great show. That one stands out because there's a lot of stagecraft, his performance. That's the one that stands out. But I've seen, I was thinking about this the other day. A really great show that I saw last year was Richard Marx and Rick Springfield here in Portland.
The working class dog himself.
Right. And it was a reschedule from COVID. So that's how I actually ended up with tickets to go, because hey, I want to go see that. It was just the two of them, no bands, acoustic. And basically one would sing one of their songs, tell a story, and just back and forth for the entire night. And it was phenomenal. Just
nice.
Again, on the level of, they both still have it. Richard Marx, unbelievable. He did this one, Angelia, shut all the lights down, came out to the front of the stage, no microphone, just him and his acoustic guitar, and he belted that thing out. That, you talking about talent.
How big was the room?
It was the Merrill Auditorium, seats probably 2,000 to 3,000.
This was pretty intimate. So, he could do that then without a mic.
Yeah, it's one of those old school design venues, right? It's more for arts and everything. Balconies, but 2,000 or 3,000, wide open, and you barely, other than the volume being a little bit down, you barely knew that he didn't have a microphone. And he said he's always wanted to do that because he saw Sinatra do it, and that's why he's always wanted to do that as part of his show. And it was overall an amazing show, because you also got the stories. Right. Because they told stories about the songs and why they wrote it, how it happened, more than just, hey, we're up here singing. And I think that's what really made that enjoyable. Again, nostalgic as well, right? Going back to the 80s and hearing the stories behind the songs. But talent-wise, it was fantastic. Like I said, acoustic, no bands, nothing else. Just those two and guitars.
That's pretty cool.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, I like
how about you?
Well, I mean,
what's your standout?
The funny thing is, like, because I kind of got into this niche of I only were going to see, like, again, talk about, I've seen Billy Joel a ton, Huey Lewis in the News a ton, Hall and Oates, 4 or 5 times, Jimmy Buffett way over the top as many times as I've seen him. So I haven't gone to like a Richard Marx, Rick Springfield type concert. So it's kind of interesting. I'm trying to think, like, again, the Buffett ones all kind of run together, but musically, he was never great. I mean, he's a good songwriter in the sense that it's good stories depending on what you're listening to and what you're listening for. Was he a great singer? No. Like vocal quality, he wasn't great. Stage performance wise, I mean, a younger Billy Joel was fantastic as far as like working an audience. Now he just sits at the piano, but he's still Billy Joel. It's still unbelievable. Correct. So that's a tough one. I don't. Again, I mean, I caught you off guard with it. I don't know who I would ultimately pick as like that was the concert. Although I do have to say, Hall and Oates they played at the new place downtown, and then it was MCI Center, I think it was, and I still do remember that one was a huge monster. Like, you just walked out there going, oh my gosh. And maybe it was because I was old enough to appreciate it then. When I went to see him when I was 13, and then again, when you're 15, 16, you don't appreciate it. This, I was probably in my 30s at that point, and you go, my God, hit after hit after hit. And I know some people don't like Hall and Oates. It's fine. They were unbelievable in doing that. And again, you just kind of go, this is crazy. Like how many hits they had, just one after another. So that's probably up there. It is interesting. And I feel like with you, with the country music, I feel very fortunate, not even in the sense of the music realm, but I mean, I've seen Billy Joel, I've seen Hall and Oates. Again, those are two big ones. I never saw Prince, never saw Madonna. I never really cared about seeing Madonna. But then I look at the other side, like I was in the arena more than one time watching Michael Jordan play. I was on the sidelines being able to watch Ray Lewis play. Like I've seen up close and personal some of the biggest icons in sports, and it's a totally different thing. Like you try to, it's weird because, like, I don't want to say kids today and get all angry. You'll see, like, the discussion. There's like discussions on Threads or X or Instagram or whatever, where the younger kids are talking about Jordan never used his left hand. He would get eaten up, and they're way too physical. And they don't understand. Like, forget his abilities and skills, because I mean, I'll argue that Jordan is still one of the greatest. But the actual electricity, the buzz, even in a regular season game, when the Bulls showed up, and I know this from work. I worked for the Wizards for a number of years. They were actually still the Bullets when I started working for them. And whenever those Jordan teams were coming to town, I mean, you would feel it like a couple days beforehand that you could just, and then you get to the arena and we'd be there, say it was tipping off at 7. I'd be there at like 5:30 getting ready for the pregame or whatever. And just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like trying to explain to people that playoff baseball feels way different than a regular season baseball game. And I don't know how to describe it. And people say all the time, it just feels like the city is alive. There is an energy inside of that building that's indescribable unless you've actually experienced it. And it's a weird, I know people who maybe aren't sports people or haven't, I don't know how to describe it. I don't. But I feel fortunate that I've been to NFL playoff games. I've, been to, again, NBA playoff games with Jordan involved and everything else. It's just a different feel than anything else. I don't know how to describe it.
Well, I can understand that. Similar, not to what you've seen, going back, and I hate to harp on this, our Final Four run.
Sure.
Watching them through the season, because, for those who don't know, I had season tickets, saw most of the games at home. you could tell something was different about that team.
Right.
And then when we got to Dayton for the first rounds, there was a different, like it just felt, I mean, you could say, well, you were in the tournament. Well, yeah, but there was something, you could just sense something different. Sorry. Hey, buddy.
Goodness.
Sorry about that. Someone's
What's
outside.
going on?
He's angry because someone's walking around outside. Hey,
How dare they?
Trooper buddy.
He's just doing his job.
He's doing his job. That's why I
Yeah.
hate to. Yeah, here he comes. What's up? And then the same thing when we got to DC to play, Wichita State. Then it just there was a different it felt way different.
Yep.
Than anything else. And then obviously going to the Final Four in Indianapolis, even though we lost during that tip off and waiting, there was such a different energy that just made it different than we're just watching the game. So
yeah.
Again, you've seen it differently. You've seen more high level athletics in those situations, but I always think back and try to explain.
It's no different though. That
there was a different sense to it all.
You are 100% right. And if people out there listening haven't had that, they don't understand. They're like, it's just a basketball game or it's just whatever it is. And that's fine. If you've never been in that situation, you don't understand it because it is almost indescribable to try to put that feel. I don't even know what you would equate it to outside of sports. I don't know. I mean, unless it's a concert where you go and somebody's just putting on an unbelievable performance of their life and you get goosebumps when they sing their song. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just an odd sense.
And I will say concerts are different because here's what it is. You're there for the show.
Right.
The person on stage is there intentionally putting on a show that's supposed to move you, excite you, etc. Sports, they're not worried about the spectators when they're playing. The energy and everything, especially as the players, they're directed at themselves, their teammates, at the other team. And they're not there to make the spectacle. They're there to maybe make it, I guess, is the thing. Like they're there to win, and that's where their energy is flowing. It's not to the crowd, it's to their performance. And then maybe that's the change that people, like you said, who haven't experienced don't understand. That's there's a different energy, especially when you get to those professional elite levels of sports. They're not putting on a show. They're there to win. And of course it becomes a show, but they're not there for you necessarily.
Right. And you don't even get it like watching it on TV. I mean, you can't recreate it sitting there and be like, oh, I'm going to lock in and watch this game. It's just not the same. But anyway, we can go on forever and ever.
Well, I was going to add in, because one thing you told me from working with the Ravens that I've told other people is you don't understand the speed of the NFL game until you're there on the sideline, that close to it. Television doesn't capture it. And I kind of get it. So
I would even say to that, being in the stadium, you can watch it from the stands. You still don't have any idea how different it is. When you're down field level, it's a totally different game. Totally. I mean, maybe in the first few rows, you might get that sense, but you're still back far enough. Like, and I've told you this story before. The first time really that it hit me that this is way different was hearing the punter kick the ball into the net and the sound that the ball made off his foot. And I mean, it shocked me because we were just sitting there talking. I worked in Baltimore, and David Modell, Art Modell's son, happened to be a guy who would come on our show every week on the radio show I was hosting. I'm not going to say we got to be friends with him, but we were friendly with him. So he invited us to come to a game, got us the sideline passes. Again, he's the owner's son. They're not going to tell him no. And we were sitting down there and we're talking to him. And all of a sudden, I mean, it sounded, I'm not kidding, almost like a gunshot behind me. And I thought somebody had dropped something. I didn't know what it was. I was thinking, oh my gosh, something just fell over. I turned around. No, it's just the punter kicking the ball into the net. But the sound of it coming off of his foot, it's nothing I'd ever heard before as far as like that type of thing. And even, I remember we used to do a show on Fridays out at the Models up there in Anne Arundel, and we had the long snapper come in, and he was like our guest because Ray Lewis isn't showing up at the Models, so we would get who we could. So the guy who was the long snapper, and I don't even remember his name now, but funny as hell dude. And we were just like, how hard is it to be a long snapper? Making fun of him. He's like, I break your hand. We're like, oh, come on. He was like, no, he goes, I guarantee you guys couldn't catch the longs. He's like, you couldn't do it. So we're like, get us a football. So we went and the Models got us a cheap football or whatever that was there. It wasn't like the ones that they use. And he paced off and he snapped it to Chad Dukes, who was doing it was my host at the time, the co-host, and literally tore skin. Chad caught it, but when he pulled the ball out of his hands, he had cuts from the laces on his hands where they had sizzled off. I mean, like, that's how tight and spiraled and fast the thing was going. I was like, this is crazy. Like, you probably could have broken somebody's hand who wasn't, Chad had played football before, so he kind of knew how to catch. So it wasn't Chad's fault. It's just, that's what it was. We have really girly hands. We didn't have the callous hands. So.
And maybe it adds to that story, like, which you don't understand. Like, he knows how to set the ball so that it ends up perfectly. Yep. Like if you were receiving it for a field goal, he knows how to start the ball at a certain angle and a certain way with the laces so that it ends up correctly
when you catch the holder's hand. So they put it down and maybe half spin it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Oh no, it's unbelievable. And then again, the speed of the game down there, the hitting. This is when Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all those guys were on that crazy Ravens defense, and they would hit guys, and you'd literally hear the breath go out of them. I mean, it was crazy being down there and seeing all that. I mean, again, we could talk about this stuff for a long time, but we got to get to other things. So, how about concerts, everything else? It is that time of year. It's been that time of year now for the past, I don't know, well, really since November 1st, when radio stations flipped over to doing Christmas music, which, again, in past episodes, I am completely against. But it is that time of year. We have all the Christmas music and everything else. And you finally caught up on watching, and everybody, if you haven't seen it, you should go back and watch it. It's amazing. You watched the Wham / George Michael Last Christmas documentary on Netflix. I'd watched it last year when it came out. It's amazing. It is really, really well done.
I mean, again, it's always the, pseudo behind the scenes, what you didn't know. And it just that, as the story goes, George said, we've made it this far and we're not going to be totally it till we have a number one Christmas hit. So who knows why you need that as your, on your bucket list, but that's what he said.
That's a British thing, right? Isn't that the whole thing? If you end up being the top song at Christmas, that's like a huge, we here in the U.S. don't care about it, but I guess Top of the Pops, isn't that the name of the?
Yeah. There's something that it's very important to them. And that's how you kind of solidify yourself forever, if you will, if you get that number one Christmas hit. So that's what he wanted. He sat down, he wrote it out, supposedly did the music himself and the demo all within a few hours and said, this is going to be it. And then they went in the studio and put it together. And the odd thing was, which again, you listen to it, I never thought it's supposed to be a melancholy, sad song.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the music behind it is too melodic, too upbeat. And you kind of go, oh yeah, he's hurting. But if you go with, some of the other research, that's one of the themes. Love, lost as part of Christmas. It's part of the formula that makes a hit. But yeah, they did the song. They went to Switzerland in September because they had to find a place with snow to be able to pull off the video.
Right.
And took the friends and they went and did the video and kind of nuanced, who was he in love with, not in love with. There was a love triangle, but you never got that answer. You just knew something wasn't right. So the ironic thing is this thing debuts at number 2. And it debuted at number 2 because Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas debuted at number 1. So George wrote this song, thought it was going to be a hit. Everyone thought it was going to be a hit. He gets off the plane from doing the video and goes straight to the studio to sing on Do They Know It's Christmas. So he put all this effort in to make this song their number one, and then yet goes and does this other song, which kept him from at that time being number one. Quite a story there, right? You put all this effort in, and I'm going to go sing on the other song, and that one's probably going to take us out. So, but in the end, 39 years later, when they change all the rules and everything, it gets to be in 2023 the number one Christmas song. So it finally got solidified and marked off the list for him, even though he wasn't around for it.
It is, and again, I'm not sure why it's such a big deal in the UK, but it is. I guess it started, I'm reading here, back in 1952, and that has become a huge deal, that if you have the number one song at Christmas for whatever reason, I mean, I don't know why, but it has become a big deal. The Beatles did it 3 straight years. No surprise there. And it is interesting. Like, I'm looking through the list, and there's not that many like Christmas songs.
Yeah.
There are some, I guess Slade, the band Slade, which I don't know who they are, did Merry Christmas, Everyone. And that was back in 1973. But then you look down, like, other ones that made it to number one. Bohemian Rhapsody was the number one Christmas song, in their year. That was 1975. Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall was number one. It's like, it's weird how they go, and then you get to 1984, Do They Know It's Christmas was number one. And then you just have all these other ones that don't seem to go as like Christmas songs.
Christmas. Right.
Yeah.
And traditionally, especially in American music, Christmas was a gimmick, right? It wasn't sustaining. So it wasn't going to make the labels money. They just didn't see it as an avenue for serious music interests to do something. You'd throw a Christmas album out just because you could, but the label, it's all about making money, and we're not going to have a string of hits, right? We once you put out an album that has 5 number ones, not a Christmas album that sells for 30 days once a year.
Right.
But then you have songs like Last Christmas, George Michael, Mariah Carey's, All I Want for Christmas. They kind of broke that mold, and now they make money every year, right? It's a Christmas staple. Who's the other one? What's her name? American Idol girl, Kelly Clarkson. Underneath the Christmas tree, right? They've kind of changed the model a little bit, especially with streaming. And, they're making royalties and money every year now as a Christmas staple. Whereas, for the longest time, all of our Christmas songs were, written in the 1800s and had sleigh bells, right?
Yeah,
they were just. And by the way, Jingle Bells is not about sleigh bells. I'm just saying. Here in New England, it's about horse racing. So, sled racing. I'm just throwing that out there because I know there's been a lot of controversy about that. But anyway. It just, from a business standpoint, doing a Christmas album, it's not that big a deal, but, they've kind of made
if you
those
find
few
that
songs.
If you find that one hit, if you get that one hit that then comes back every single year, because just looking at it, Last Christmas was number one again in 2024 in the UK. So it did it back-to-back years. We'll see if it gets there 2025. I'm sure there's a big push every year that, people are trying to get it to be the number one song, but you can make pretty good money. I mean, how much money do you think Mariah Carey's made off of that song?
Oh, well, she's now the queen of Christmas, I guess.
Right.
So that's what she waits for.
And the thing is, everybody can't stand that song, or everybody says they can't stand that song, but it's like the official, like, okay, I heard the Mariah song. I guess it's Christmas season. You know what I mean? Like, it's like she's like the freaking groundhog. She's like Punxsutawney Phil.
Yeah. Well, it's a catchy tune. And I was watching CBS Sunday Morning the other day, and they went through the formula, which is almost similar to regular music on, what they say. It's scales are tight. Like, there's not a lot of extra notes. It's catchy, simple. theme. Like there is a little bit of a formula to song making, and same thing with Christmas. You throw in some sleigh bells, and you can have you a hit that lasts longer than you can in some cases, and your state gets to live off the publishing.
I would imagine that as long as you make it, and it should be, and not that the normal person has the range of a Mariah Carey, but that song is easy to sing.
Yes.
Or I should say sing along to. So I think that's the main thing. Like all these Christmas songs that end up becoming big giant hits, it's usually because they're easy to sing along to.
Mm-hmm. Easy lyrics, they said, easy notes, high range, making it sort of emotionally uplifting.
Right.
It's not a funeral dirge or anything like that. And that's
too
part of
Christmas
the formula.
ballads.
Christmas ballad. Well, Christmas is supposed to be sort of.
Well, yeah, but it didn't end up that way.
Right.
I guess I'll Be Home for Christmas. Maybe you would consider that one.
But right. And that's kind of the older standards.
Right.
That's where we're transitioning to, where it's not necessarily the old crooners, if you will.
Right.
It's more upbeat, it's more poppy, and obviously it'll change again at some point. And I'm more concerned that something like Run DMC's Christmas in Hollis is not more of a staple, right? Different genre, but it's fun to sing.
Well, yeah, and it's the same thing. Like I've been listening to the Sirius XM has a Christmas channel. And it's supposed to be all upbeat Christmas music, whatever. I never realized that Kylie Minogue did a cover of the Waitress's Christmas Rapping. You know that song.
Yeah. But she did a cover. Interesting.
She did a cover of it. It wasn't bad. Like I heard, I'm like maybe a stanza or two, and I was like, that doesn't sound like who is this? This doesn't sound like the Waitresses. So I had to hit the screen in my car to have it come up and display the name. And I was like, Kylie Minogue? It's like this. And then after I read the name, I was like, oh yeah, that does sound like her. But I was like, it's kind of weird that like I never heard that she had done a cover of that song. So it's interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Well, what I always found interesting about Kylie Minogue is, she had the one kind of song here, but she was huge everywhere else.
Oh, Australia's
it's one of those more
giant,
interesting musical stories. Like, she had a hit here, and you kind of think, but no, she was giant in Australia and across Europe. So, and her name will come up, and some people I know have said, well, why is she had like one hit back? No, she was a huge international star.
Giant. Yes.
She just wasn't that exposed here and didn't quite get that following. So,
which is kind of weird because she was a pretty attractive when she was, not that she's not now. I haven't seen pictures of her lately, but like you would have thought that she had the look that should have like taken over.
And the good poppy sound.
Yeah.
But
and for whatever reason, she had a couple of hits here, but nothing. It wasn't like she was dominant. Maybe it was her choice. Maybe she didn't move to the States. Maybe she stayed wherever she was and out of sight, out of mind type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. They like it, they'll play it. Otherwise, I don't care. I'm not going to go do the tour.
Right. So. Yeah, exactly. Sad news for as far as Gen X folks go. Rob Reiner, this whole thing is weird. It's sad. And we're not going to get into the politics for or against what Rob Reiner stood for or for or against what the president said. I don't care about any of that stuff. It doesn't mean anything. But it's a guy that, look, he burst onto the scene in what we both agreed before the show was a boomer show. All in the Family was not a Gen X show. He started out, he was Meathead. He was Archie Bunker's son-in-law. That's where people kind of got to know him. But we sort of, I think Gen X would point to Spinal Tap, would point to the movies he directed more so that than he acted in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's the nature. Obviously he was an actor, and then whatever road he took ended up putting him behind the camera. And when that happens, you kind of, you're not at the forefront anymore.
Right.
But artistically, if you go through the list of all of the, movies with The Princess Bride and A Few Good Men, Misery, Harry, you start looking at these movies and going, wow, he did those movies. And you kind of go, as I say, creative genius, right? To be able to put those movies together, because there's some of the all-time Stand By Me. I mean, these are classics that he was a part of, and so as much as we didn't see him in front of the camera, I did love him in The Wolf of Wall Street as the father. That was just a fantastic role for him, yelling at the TV and people calling during his show. If you don't, I'm sure many of you have seen that. His behind the scenes work, that's just amazing stuff that's still out there that we were all partaking of, but probably did not know that he was involved until now for some of us. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I had forgotten, I guess, or maybe wasn't aware, but he was married to Penny Marshall for 10 years, which again, I guess I had forgotten about that. Obviously that's not who he was married to, when the murders happened, but just a kind of a sad thing to lose a guy who seemed to, even though he was older, he didn't seem to be slowing down at all. He was still doing a ton of different things. I mean, he'd just done the second Spinal Tap movie. Even at 78, he was acting in that show, The Bear, which I never watched, but I mean, he was still doing a lot of different stuff. So, I mean, it sucks that while his best work was probably behind him, because you're not going to be able to carry that schedule at 78, doing movie after movie after movie, year after year after year. He was still working and doing, by all accounts, some really good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and, we were talking about with music individuals earlier. I mean, there reaches a point where, time catches up with you and you can't sing, move around the stage, do things. So the fact that, like you said, he's 78 and still on a recent hit show, The Bear, I like, you haven't seen it. He's still working, doing his thing. Clint Eastwood, kind of the same vein, right? They just keep doing what they do when they kind of have that creative energy to do it. And at some point, Father Time catches up one way or another. But
yeah, it sucks. I mean, Father Time isn't the reason that he's not around anymore.
Right.
So, we'll see what happens with that whole thing. It sucks, anytime, even if he
tragedy.
died. Yeah. I mean, if he had died of natural causes, it would have sucked, but the way it went down sucks even more. So, and we'll get to the last one as well, but this whole last week, kind of like really strange, like murders and stuff that went on. This Brown University thing, I'm baffled by this. I don't get why anybody would go in and shoot up a school anyway, but I don't understand. Like, it just seems really casual now that, like, there's a active shooter as we're recording this. Haven't seen anything new this morning that they've brought somebody in. They had a guy, a person of interest. They cleared him within 12 hours. And it's just like everybody just kind of did a collective, don't know who did it. No idea. It's weird.
It seemed odder than usual. Working in emergency service, I do work with police and understand that sometimes they don't tell you everything, and there's a reason why, especially when the investigations going on. They're trying to, not stir the pot too much so they can try to A, figure things out, B, maybe they probably have a suspect in mind and not trying to alarm. There's a setup there. But what I've seen from watching some of these press conferences, you said it right. Shrug the shoulders and just go, we don't know. We don't know. And I don't know if it's the wrong people are giving these press conferences or just how the concern I have, you and I discussed it, is you're either don't know what's happening or you're incompetent because you are not lending any sense of, hey, we're working on this. We understand. They all just seem to be glassy-eyed and not sure, can't answer some questions. It's befuddling to me. But, oh, man. I mean, just little things like we talked about. You're at this high, this isn't a small university. They're well endowed. They have money. Supposedly they didn't have any cameras on this building. Like, how would you not do a system go, just ignore that one? Yeah, we're not going to worry about that one. As part of your security measures.
It's interesting. I'd love to, and I would never put her on the spot to do this, but way back in the day when I was working for WJFK here in DC, the sports station, there was a woman who did a weekend show. Her name is Julie Parker. She was in the local media and everything else. She now runs a crisis communication. She has her own company where she goes around to different, like police and government things and kind of teaches how you should. I would love to get her inside. Like, what do you think about this? But I know she's smart. She would never say anything like on the record about these people are idiots. But I would love to get her reaction to like watching these press conferences. She's got to be just beside herself going, you can't do it. Like, this is not the way to do things. Like, you have to do a better job of this.
Well, I took some PR courses in college. Part of my job with the station's PR. The first thing I look at as if I was setting this up, and this is probably what she would say, is the president of Brown University does not need to be answering a lot of questions. It needs to be just statements of, this is tragic, we're doing XYZ, and that's it. That person does not need to be overly involved with the media answering questions about a situation that they really have no control over, no firsthand knowledge. Just, you've got the wrong person out there. Like, it needs to be a better spokesperson from whether it's the FBI, campus police, just someone else who's a little bit more in charge can say, hey, this happened. This is what we're doing. This is what we're going to do, and kind of end the story. But I watched the Brown president out there just floundering, answering too many. Why was it this? And what about that? She may know, but she doesn't need to be in that position looking dumbfounded on TV, trying to not answer the question, even if she's trying to skirt around it.
Right. She may know, but she's not a professional to be able to, handle the question and say things without saying things. And that's correct. That's a talent to not look like a complete buffoon or to not look like you're just lying to the press or whatever it is. It's a talent to be able to say things without saying things.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that was my initial, and I've seen this in other situations, like,
of course,
just because you're the person in charge of the place where something happened doesn't necessarily mean you're the point of contact, the face of the event, to go out there and try to, answer questions and be the face to the media. Like, know your role, as they say.
And I just think it's also weird that, again, not up there, so I don't know how tightly everything is, but I've seen people, like I saw a video yesterday of somebody there on the campus filming the FBI folks kind of doing like a grid search to see if they could find any, other clues or something that would help with this. So clearly the campus isn't shut down. There's, somebody who's able to film with their own phone camera or whatever. The FBI agents, they weren't keeping them away. So there's an active shoot. Well, I guess he's not active because he hasn't shot anybody since that day, but there's a shooter on the loose in your school area, and you're still letting people just wander across campus. Like, I don't get it. That to me, from day one, has been baffling to me. And again, maybe I don't know the whole story. I'm not there. I'm not following it minute by minute. But I was just like, how is somebody on campus filming the FBI doing a grid search? Like, what are we doing here? There is a shooter at large. You shouldn't just let anybody wander onto your campus.
And what that tells me, in a way, is that they have an idea of the motive. Because if it was just random, everything would be like, hey, be on the lookout, right? Like you said, there would be a little bit, but because something specific that they know, that just, oh yeah, camp's still open, still walk around. Go ahead, it's okay. Tells me that they know that there was at least a basis of reasoning of what happened.
I would,
because otherwise you would be scared that it'd be some other maniac that's just out there shooting randomly. Correct? I mean, sort of very similar to the Charlie Kirk assassination, because they shut it down, but then campus is wide open and we're still doing things, which means, and maybe they apprehended their guy faster, but it was still like, you have a sense of the reasoning, or you understand something, because otherwise, why wouldn't the entire area be in lockdown? because we don't know, right? What if they're going to strike again? If it was random, again, if it's a mental patient with a gun, wouldn't we think that they could do this again? Again, not there, not fully aware of the operations. These are just questions as an observer that I have that makes me go, well, what about this? Or what about this? And
and that's the thing that, I mean, look, there are a lot of conspiracy people out there and theories and everything else with this and the Rob Reiner deaths and everything. I'm not going down those roads. This is just, if I'm a person that's in that neighborhood, in that area, within the vicinity of the school, I would kind of want to know, like, do you think anybody else is at risk? And if you don't, then why? That would be a lot of the main questions that I would be asking. Like, is the general public at risk? No, we don't think so. Okay, so the person that they were targeting is one of the people who got shot then. Well, I don't know that we're saying that. Well, then maybe we are at risk. Like, that's the weird thing. They won't come out and say the person that ended up as a victim was the person that was supposed to end up as a victim in the shooter's motive. They're not saying that. Okay, so are we, who live 2 blocks from the school, at risk? No, nobody else is at risk. Well, then what? Like, it's just mind-boggling. It's like a big circle. You're like, what are we talking about here? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, and like I said, I know some of it is try not to stir the waters as they continue the investigation. Some of it's, concern for later prosecution if they put out there, this is the motive and all that. So I understand why they don't want to get too far into some of this. But as you said, there's a way to say things without saying things. But this just seems very odd and haphazard, if you will. And again, I saw too much of the Brown president being thrown out there. And I'm like, this is not a good diversion. I just get her off this. She can be there. She can answer a few questions about how the school's operating post situation. But getting into the rest of it, they should just shut that down and not discuss, like I said, cameras working, not work. It just, no, I would not. If I was consulting, no, you will not be doing this. Because again, same thing down the road. What if someone wants to sue? Now we've got you on record saying, well, we had this massive system, but not that building. We didn't do that building. Right. So now you just admitted fault to, creating security issues. And especially, I think you'd mentioned that just the other year, they were complaining about how many cameras were on campus.
Yeah.
So,
the students were like, hey, this is a little overkill here. Apparently wasn't enough. But
yeah.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. It's, again, if you haven't been paying that much attention to it, it's weird the way that they've done the press conferences. Just hasn't gone well. Some other sad news, and this doesn't have anything to do with weird murders or anything. Gil Gerard of Buck Rodgers passed away here recently. I never watched Buck Rodgers. He was 82, so he had a hell of a run. We'd all love to make it to 82. I never watched. This is a complete blind spot for me. So you're gonna have to be the one that kind of leads this. I never watched the show, but I mean, you tell me it was unbelievable and really well done. So,
well, I mean, for the time, I mean, here's the reality: it aired 2 seasons, but yet it's a mark on history. It was all part of that late 70s futuristic sci-fi, right? Because Star Wars was huge. Battlestar Galactica was huge. And then there was Buck Rodgers. Buck Rodgers existed since the 30s, so it wasn't a new story. Just what made it different, I think, was being on, national television. And it wasn't, for lack of better words, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, Star Wars. They're all very serious. Buck Rodgers brought a comedy element, not slapstick, but it was just tongue in cheek because, hey, here's this kind of cool guy existing 500 years later trying to adapt to the future. So there was humor to it. So it wasn't a deep, dark, you get into some of these other sci-fi adventures that's, no, it was funny because you had the little robot Tweaky. And the real reason we're talking about this.
I think Mel Blanc did Tweaky, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he the voice?
Yeah, he did the voice. Yep, for a while. But the real reason we're even talking about Gil Gerard passing as Buck Rodgers is because Colonel Wilma Deering, played by Erin Gray, we're talking 1979 to 81 as a formative time for us young men. And as much as they didn't sexualize her like you would think, but the outfit she wore for young men in pre-puberty and puberty made us feel things that we probably weren't sure of what was happening. So, it's that show stands as a landmark.
You sent me
for
the
that
pictures.
time period.
It was very much 70s bodysuit, like roller skater type outfits. I mean, it was the tight bodysuits of the 70s and early. I mean, that's what it looked like. It wasn't anything scandalous. It was just that's what people were wearing then, actually.
Right, but I think it's the timing, and of course, 8:00 every night. Every Wednesday night, I think is when it aired. You would see her, and she was in charge. She was powerful, but not dumb. And again, they didn't pull it off as sexualizing her. She just looked good. And again, for young guys at that time, it was, oh, hello, Colonel Deering. That's amazing. And I'm sure if we had the technology back then, there would have been a lot of pauses, right? You go back on your VCR and pause because she moved a certain way on the screen. It just, that's the discussion we're having here of not necessarily Gil Gerard, but what the show meant for a lot of young men at that time.
Well, in when I saw and I looked up, okay, who was in Buck Rodgers? Because again, I didn't have any idea. And I saw Erin Gray, and I was like, I know Erin Gray, but I know her or remember her from being Ricky Schroeder's mom on Silver Spoons.
Silver Spoons. That was her next foray.
Right.
After that,
so that's how I remember Erin Gray. Other than that, I had until you sent me the pictures, I'm like, I have no recollection of this show, Buck Rodgers, at all. I remember Duck Dodgers, the Bugs Bunny side of things. I remember them making fun of, doing the cartoons and making fun of it that way. That's how I was familiar with Buck Rodgers, but I never watched it. I have to say, I have no idea. Maybe I'll have to go back and watch just for Erin Gray, who's still with us at 75.
Yeah. Buck had been around because Buster Crabbe was the original Buck Rodgers back in the 30s. And then there was another one. If you saw the movie Ted, there was a whole interaction with an actor that was Buck Rodgers at a certain point. So, the storyline, but I think it changed because I'm not familiar with the old Buck Rodgers from the 30s, about him being frozen in 1987 for 500 years and coming back to life.
Oh, okay.
So, that story predated Star Wars and even Battlestar Galactica. So that's what's most interesting. Like, it wasn't something just made up out of thin air and let's do this TV show. There was an actual character and basis for it prior to the 70s.
Interesting.
Just resurrected it during the sci-fi, space boom of the late 70s.
Yeah, I was never a Star Trek guy. I was never a Battlestar Galactica guy. I was never a Buck Rodgers guy. I mean, Star Wars was about my only thing, but I'm not some geek. I can't recite lines. I can't. I enjoyed it. The first three were good. Since then, it's just been okay. Hasn't been great. But R.I.P. to Buck. And happy trails. Maybe they've frozen him and they're going to bring him back. You
never know, right?
I guess it's technology today. It's always possible.
They did a Ted Williams job on him. I don't know.
Maybe so. I think unless you've got anything else, I think we've kind of covered everything.
Yeah, I think we did. So I'm good.
Then before we get out of here, do you have any parting words for us?
I will show actually Gil Gerard's parting words.
Okay.
Not to waste time on anything that doesn't thrill you or bring you love. See you out there somewhere in the cosmos.
This concludes this episode of Gen X Men with Bill Rowland and Gary Dollarhite. Gen X Men is now off the air.